Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's Friday Reflections on this Friday, the 16th of January 2026. I hope you are all well wherever you are tuning into this from. And today we're going to be continuing our study of life and leadership lessons from Surah al-Kahf, based upon this book by Professor Hassan Mohi-ud-Din Qadri. We're on page 166 of the book, and we're going to be studying the story of Dhul. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It began with a question that carried the weight of curiosity and challenge. Tell us about Dhul. They demanded of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This enigmatic figure, whispered about in tales, seemed to exist beyond the bounds of time, shrouded in mystery. In response, Allah unveiled a story, a tale of unparalleled power, relentless journeys, and profound lessons. A leader destined for greatness. Dhul wasn't just a ruler, he was chosen, divinely equipped with authority and resources that made the impossible possible. With every step of his journey, his mission was not only to expand his reach, but to also carry out the burden of justice in unknown lands. And so with his army and unwavering faith, he embarked on a journey that would test his resolve and define his legacy. The first journey into the west, the murky horizon. The first leg of his journey led Dhul westward across vast, untamed lands that seemed to stretch endlessly beneath the heavens. With each mile, the air grew heavier, and the horizon became more ominous until he reached a place that was as surreal as it was unsettling. There, the sun appeared to sink into the spring of dark, boiling water, a sight both haunting and majestic, as though the earth itself was swallowing the light. But it wasn't the unsettling landscape that held his attention. It was the people, living in the shadow of uncertainty, their faces marked by a mix of fear and defiance. Their way of life seemed chaotic, and their actions morally ambiguous. Were they oppressors, victims, or simply lost souls? The answers lay veiled in the shadows. And then the voice came. It was not from his companions, nor from the people. It was a voice above all voices, clear, divine, and commanding. The air around him seemed to grow still, as if the very heavens were waiting for his response. Why such a voice? Dhul al-Qarnayn, although a powerful ruler, understood the weight of his mission. This was not just about conquering lands. It was a test of leadership, a moment that would define the kind of ruler he truly was. These people, as flawed as they might be, represented a humanity in its rawest form, capable of wrongdoing, but also of redemption. He understood the divine wisdom behind the choice. Should he crush them under the might of his rule, or guide them with mercy? Justice demanded accountability, but mercy offered the chance for change. The fate of these people, and perhaps his own legacy, hinged on his decision. Rising above the whispers of his advisors and the murmurs of the crowd, Dhul spoke with a voice that carried both authority and compassion. Those who do wrong will face justice. His words as steady as iron. They will be punished. And then they will answer to their Lord, whose torment is far more severe. But as for those who believe and act righteously, they will receive a beautiful reward, and I will speak to them with kindness. A hushed silence followed, broken only by the rustling of the wind. It was a decision that balanced strength and mercy. That balanced strength with mercy, justice and hope. In that moment, Dhul Qarnayn had not just chosen for the people before him, he had chosen for all those who could hear this story. He had shown that true power lies not in crushing others, but in uplifting them, in wielding authority with fairness and a deep sense of responsibility. And this, captured in the story of Dhul Qarnayn in the Quran, is a theme that runs throughout the Quran and throughout Islam. It's an Abrahamic theme. It's a theme that you find also in the Bible. But the form it takes in the Quran is one that is a balance between, on the one hand, recognizing that we were created by God and that God expects certain things of us. And mainly those things are actually about having mercy ourselves and kindness towards others and being just and fair. As similarly, Allah is like that towards us, but in ways that go beyond anything that we're capable of, way beyond. And so Islam is this balance between justice and mercy, and between judgment and hope. And so the first chapter of Dhul Qarnayn's journey ended, not with the clang of swords or the triumph of conquest, but with a profound reminder. Leadership is not about domination, but about aligning one's actions with justice, mercy, and the will of the Almighty. As Dhul Qarnayn turned his gaze towards the horizon, the sun continued its descent, its light shimmering faintly in the dark waters, a reflection, perhaps, of the balance he had struck between judgment and grace. The second journey, the blazing east, a realm of harsh light. The next phase of Dhul Qarnayn's journey pulled him eastward, away from the shadowed lands of the west and into a realm ablaze with light. The air grew heavier with each step, and the horizon shimmering with an intensity that seemed to defy the limits of endurance. Here the sun rose unchallenged, its scorching rays dominating the barren landscape. It was a place both awe-inspiring and merciless, a land where the very earth appeared to crack under the weight of the relentless heat. As he ventured deeper into this harsh and alien world, he encountered a people unlike any he had seen before. They lived without walls, without roofs, and without even the flimsiest of shelters to shield them from the blazing sun. Their skin bore the marks of constant exposure, and their lives were an unending struggle against nature's fury. Yet they endured, resilient, weathered, and unyielding. It was as though they had made peace with a sun that showed no mercy. The silence between them and Dhul Qarnayn was profound, broken only by the occasional gust of dry wind. What could he do for a people so accustomed to this way of life? Could they even fathom change, or would they resist it? The Quran does not elaborate on their words or their actions, leaving their story cloaked in mystery. However, it speaks volumes through what it doesn't say, inviting us to imagine the tension that must have filled these moments. For Dhul Qarnayn, every step he took in this unforgiving land was deliberate, and each choice was imbued with responsibility. He was not merely a conqueror or a traveler. He was a leader entrusted with a divine mission. The plight of these people was not lost on him, as he understood that his task was not only to address their immediate needs, but to act in a way that reflected his submission to Allah's will. And while the pages of history might not record every word or deed of Dhul Qarnayn in this sun-scorched land, the Quran assures us of one thing. Allah's knowledge encompasses everything. Every decision Dhul Qarnayn made, every thought that passed through his mind, and every action he undertook was seen, known, and recorded by the all-seeing. Nothing escaped the one who granted him power and authority. This knowledge added a layer of solemnity to Dhul Qarnayn's journey. Each moment in the land of the blazing sun was a test, not only of his leadership, but also of his faith. Would he act out of self-interest or serve the greater good? Would he approach these people with arrogance or with humility? Every step he took, though heavy with heat and burden, reflected his awareness of this divine scrutiny. And so this chapter of his journey concluded not with grand speeches or monumental acts, but with a reminder that sometimes the most profound moments of leadership lie in the unspoken and unseen, in the quiet decisions made under the searing gaze of both the sun and the Creator. Dhul Qarnayn's choices, whatever they were, became part of the eternal tapestry of divine knowledge, known entirely only to Allah. As he turned to leave this land bathed in an unforgiving sun, the East stood as a testimony to humanity's enduring resilience and the Almighty's unyielding to watchfulness. It was not merely another stop in his journey. It was another step in fulfilling the trust placed upon him by his Lord. The third journey, the Great Barrier, a call for help. But it was his final journey that would attach his name into the annals of history. Traveling to a place between two massive mountains, he found a desperate and frightened people. They could barely speak his language, but their fear was unmistakable. Dhul Qarnayn, they pleaded, their voices trembling. Gog and Magog are ravaging our land. Can you build a barrier to protect us? We will pay you for your help. The gravity of their plea hung heavy in the air. These were no ordinary adversaries. Gog and Magog were forces of chaos, their power unmatched, and their destruction relentless. But Dhul Qarnayn's reply stunned them. What my Lord has given me is better than your wealth. Let me lend you my strength, and together we will build a barrier that no force can breach. The people scrambled to help. Under Dhul Qarnayn's guidance, they gathered massive blocks of iron, stacking them high until they filled the gap between the mountains. Then came the fire, blazing, roaring, and consuming the iron until it glowed red hot. Finally, molten copper was poured over it, sealing the structure with unyielding strength. When the last drop of copper hardened, Dhul Qarnayn stood back, surveying the towering barrier, which is a masterpiece of engineering and resolve, a fortress against chaos. This, he proclaimed, his voice filled with humility, is a mercy from my Lord. But know this, when the promise of my Lord comes to pass, this barrier will crumble to dust, for my Lord's word is always true. The final surge. The story concludes with a future vision, a day when Gog and Magog will surge forth like waves, unstoppable and overwhelming. The trumpet will sound, and humanity will be gathered before their Creator. Dhul Qarnayn's barrier, his legacy will fall, but his deeds will remain testament to justice, faith, and the transient nature of power. So what can we learn from this? A timeless blueprint for leadership. The story of Dhul Qarnayn is more than an ancient narrative. It is a timeless lesson in leadership that resonates deeply across the ages. His life, marked by power tempered with humility and immense challenges, met with divine wisdom, serves as a beacon for modern leaders, business coaches, and political figures alike. It calls to those entrusted with responsibility, urging them to lead with integrity, vision, and a heart aligned with justice. Dhul Qarnayn wielded immense authority, but it was never for personal gain or oppressive control. Instead, his strength lay in his unwavering commitment to serve the greater good, uplift the downtrodden, and to protect the vulnerable. His choices were not driven by ego or ambition, but by a profound sense of duty to divine trust. This serves as a reminder to every leader. True power does not lie in domination, but in the courage to serve with humility and to make decisions rooted in wisdom and justice. For business leaders, the story of Dhul speaks to the sense of ethical leadership. He teaches us that resources and authority are not mere privileges. They are tools entrusted to us to create meaningful impact. Like him, leaders today must navigate uncharted territories, confront daunting challenges, and make decisions that affect not only their organizations, but also the people they serve. The question is, will we lead with compassion and fairness, or will we allow greed and self-interest to cloud our judgment? For political leaders, Dhul journey serves as a profound call to action. His example shows that governance is not about expanding influence or consolidating power. It is about creating systems of justice, bridging divides, and protecting communities from harm. His refusal to exploit those who sought his help, along with his reliance on collective effort to build the Great Barrier, underscores the importance of collaboration, selflessness, and accountability. And let's remember, these are a people that he traveled to, he was visiting. They were not necessarily people that come under his political authority in any other way, but they asked him for help and he helped them. This shows a leader's responsibility that goes beyond their borders, a responsibility to humanity overall, which is in some ways well before its time. Imagine a world where every political leader approached their role with the same humility and focus on the greater good. What barriers of inequality, division, and suffering could be overcome? For coaches and mentors, Dhul journey serves as a lesson in guiding others towards their potential. His story reminds us that leadership is not just about solving problems, but about empowering others to stand stronger in the face of adversity. Are we, as mentors, helping those we guide to build their own barriers against the challenges of life, teaching resilience, fostering self-belief, and aligning their purpose with a higher calling? Most importantly, the story of Dhul presents us with a profoundly personal question. How will we confront the barriers of our lives? These barriers may not be physical walls, but rather internal struggles, ethical dilemmas, or challenges that test the very core of who we are. Will we, like Dhul face these trials with courage and faith? Will we draw upon the divine wisdom, align our intentions with purpose, and rise to the occasion with an unyielding commitment to what is right? Or will we be distracted? Will we fall away? Now, we may not be prophets, of course we're not, but Allah revealed this deen for us to follow. So we should be doing as much as we can, as much as is humanly possible, to be the best kind of human beings and the best kind of believers that we can be. So we have to take example from these stories. These stories are not just there that we go, Allahu Akbar, God is great, and just leave them in the book and not try and implement these things in our own lives. They're there to inspire us, to guide us towards being better people. Let the story of Dhul inspire us to reflect on our own paths. Are we utilizing the resources, the talents, and the power we have being given to uplift others? Are we striving to create a legacy of justice, compassion, and integrity? The answers to these questions define not only the kind of leaders we are, but also the kind of world we leave behind. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? In a world that often glorifies dominance and self interest, let Dhul Qarnayn's journey remind us that true greatness lies in humility, service, and the unwavering pursuit of the greater good, whether in the boardroom, the halls of government, or the quiet moments of self reflection. His story challenges us to rise higher, not for ourselves, but for the sake of a better, more just world. I will leave it there for today, and next Friday we will go through the verses behind this account. I hope you find these videos useful and my other content. If you do, please like and subscribe, and feel free to share these videos on your own social media platforms. Also, if you find these useful, there is a Buy Me a Coffee link, which is on all of my social media platforms and on many of my posts. You can use this link in order to subscribe to my channels and to be able to support the work that I'm doing. And in that way, you too can become a part of this work and get the blessing of doing it, even though in practice, I'm the one who is creating this content. But you can still be a part of the blessing. Please consider that, and it's greatly appreciated, any support that you can provide. I'm aiming to continue producing this content so that this content can be also free of charge at the point of contact, so that anyone can benefit from this, and hopefully anyone can be inspired by it, and that it can build people's understanding and bridges and help people to develop themselves. I wish you all, if you're in the UK, a very good evening and a very good weekend, and wherever you are in the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God be with you all.